You wouldn't be human if you didn't complain about paying taxes, but what would happen if the IRS closed up shop tomorrow and you no longer had to give Uncle Sam part of your money? Wow. That's a fantasy that can... Weighing in are Chris Edwards, Director of Tax Policy Studies for the Cato Institute. Dean Baker, the co-director of the Center for Economic Policy Research. Chris, you want to get rid of the income tax as it is. You want flat tax. Steve Forbes, of course, a famous proponent of that. Why?
There's a lot of reasons. First of all, there's 25 nations around the world now that have scrapped their graduated or progressive income taxes, put in a flat tax. The same equal rate for everyone. You know, I believe in equality under the law. Everyone should be treated equally.
I'm sorry, let me interrupt. Are any of those industrialized Western countries?
Oh, absolutely.
Name them.
The three Baltic states, Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia. The most recent flat tax convert is the Czech Republic. A lot of these are middle-income powers, and it's true that none of the Western European countries have done this yet, but just about every country in Eastern Europe and former Soviet republics now have flat taxes. They have a single flat rate. They're not all perfect, as I would prescribe it, but they're getting very close, and they've been very good for the economies of those countries.
Dean Baker, doesn't that throw the burden onto people who are less able to pay?
Absolutely. I mean, this is basically a story about taxing higher income people less and having middle income people pay more. And that's not something I think that's going to go over real well with most of the school teachers and firefighters across the country. They aren't looking to pay more in taxes right now.
Isn't it true? Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
The thing is, under the current income tax, which, Aaron, you questioned how many pages there was. There's 70,000 pages of rules and regulations. There's hundreds of credits and deductions now, so that people of equal income in the middle of the income ranks pay vastly different amounts of tax. If you own a home, you pay a lot less tax than people who rent. In my view, that's extremely unfair. So the flat tax gets rid of all those deductions and credits. A lot of them benefit people at higher levels more than people in the middle. So you scrap the deductions that specially benefit the rich folks, and you lower the rates on everyone. I don't think a
lot of people in this country would consider homeowners rich, and yet you're talking about taking away a very important deduction for them, which has, I might add, helped develop a homeowner society in America.
What you could do,
I don't agree with that at all. Canada does not have a mortgage interest deduction, and their home ownership rate is virtually exactly the same as it is in the United States. So I don't agree with that at all. I think it's extremely unfair that homeowners like myself get a lower tax rate than renters. I think that's unfair.
Oh, well,
as a renter, I could sympathize with that one.
Unfair to the renters.
But we could certainly make a lot of changes, and I hope we will. I mean, President Bush's tax commission had some good proposals. Unfortunately, he was so concerned about privatizing Social Security, those proposals got buried. But one of the proposals was to change the tax deduction for mortgage interest into a tax credit. I believe they proposed 15%. You'd cap it at a relatively modest level. So for most middle-income people, they would end up unaffected or somewhat better off. But for those high-end people who might be deducting $900,000 at the top bracket, they won't get as big a deduction. So there's lots of things you could do to certainly make the tax code better and fairer, but I don't think making a flat tax is going in the right direction.
Could you do some sort of, I guess, a bastardized form of it, Dean, though, where you said it's a flat tax, but for people at the bottom, you do some sort of adjustment so you don't end up with a regressive tax? I mean, I know then you're going in the direction towards 70,000 pages, but is there a way to cut it?
Well, the flatness, I mean, let me put it this way. The number of brackets is absolutely trivial because at the end of the day, you do your calculation, then you say, here's my income. It's 50,000, it's 100,000, it's 500,000. You look up, pay X percent. That's really, really simple. So we could have 1 million brackets, and it's no more complicated than having a single bracket. The key issue is how many deductions are you going to have in there? And I agree, we want to have fewer. We don't want to have a special tax rate for hedge fund managers so they don't pay less taxes than people who are firefighters.
I do agree with Dean that we could take some very big steps on the way toward a simpler, flatter system. And the Congressman Paul Ryan plan is a good example of that. He essentially scraps all deductions and exemptions and credits and puts in two rates, 10 and 25%. I think that would be a huge step forward for the United States. It would make saving and investment much simpler. It would treat families a lot more equally. So there are a lot of steps we can take.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. I'm afraid we have to cut it off. Chris Edwards, Cato Institute.